Good evening, I'm Pinky Webb. Tonight we ask the questions, we tackle the issues, we clarify matters, and we get on point. Batangas 1st District Representative Leandro Leviste has formally filed a complaint against a DPWH district engineer for an alleged 3 million peso bribery attempt. The supposed goal to stop him from investigating flood control irregularities. Leviste says while DPWH employees should be held accountable, there are bigger fish to catch. Let's get on point with Congressman Leandro Leviste. Congressman, good to see you. I met you a long time ago. Congratulations. Thanks for your time.
Thank you for having me.
All right, let's start with, I just want to find out more about this bribery attempt. Just pakikwento lang po sa amin.
Congressmen coordinate with their district engineers on their ongoing and upcoming projects, and Engineer Calalo asked to meet last Friday in my office, and upon starting the meeting, quickly said that ang mga contractor ay may gustong ipadalang suporta sa akin. And that seemed to be a euphemism for some percentage of the cost of the projects. I had been investigating supposed substandard quality projects, including flood control projects, over the past few weeks. And Engineer Calalo also said that the projects are already being repaired and rectified by contractors, and that that seemed to be a backdrop for why now contractors wanted to meet. And had we continued our conversation, then we could have more scheduled meetings with contractors, but I thought that it was more appropriate to call the PNP, and now we have the opportunity to dig more deeply into DPWH.
So he went to your office and then ano pakiulit-ulit yung sinabi niya?
Ang mga contractor ay gustong magpadala ng suporta.
Ng suporta sa'yo. Okay. Hindi niyo na po tinanong, anong ibig mo sabihin sa suporta? Pera ba to?
Actually, sinabi niya, natutuwa sila dahil namimigay daw ako ng mga scholarships sa mga estudyante.
Yeah.
And of course, may mga euphemisms sa ating political context. So, it's not a surprise to most of your viewers that there is SOP in most DPWH projects. And of course, I'm a newly elected congressman, so I've not really experienced this firsthand myself before. And it seemed like talagang sanay na sanay ang mga taga-DPWH sa ganitong kalakaran, because they are not quite shy about discussing it with their congressmen in some cases.
But that Friday meeting, meron na ho ba siyang dinala? Dala na ho ba niya yung 3 milyong piso? Or was there an entrapment?
Meron siyang dalang isang bag kasamang resibo na ang 3.1 million pesos cash ay 3% ng 104 million pesos worth of projects ng isang contractor. So ito po ay ang contribution ng isang contractor. Sinabi din po niya, meron din isang contractor na ready nang mag-withdraw ng 15 million pesos cash.
Yeah. This is all Friday pa rin?
Yes po.
Okay.
And I don't want to vilify an individual, because I think the problem is really the DPWH system, and we have to really try and solve the bigger problem for our country of
We're gonna go there,
that scale. But in this particular instance, Engineer Calalo was saying there's 3.6 billion pesos of 2025 DPWH projects in the 1st District of Batangas, and nakausap na niya ang karamihan ng mga kontraktor at willing na willing daw sila na magpadala sila ng suporta.
Yun na yung suporta, okay. When he was telling you this, how did you feel? Were you insulted? Were you shocked? Did you see this coming?
I was uncomfortable because, of course, it is illegal to accept bribes. And the fact of DPWH kickbacks is not something that I have ever experienced firsthand, because, again, it's my first term. But what I learned is that it's already factored in to the cost of the projects. And Engineer Calalo even explained to me how they don't have genuine biddings in the 1st District DPWH office. They have bidders that collude, and the congressman can somehow choose who is the winning bidder,
Sino
and
yung
that bidder
contractor?
gives an SOP.
Nung Friday din ho ba yung nangyari yung nandun po yung pera? Was the money there?
Yes.
It all happened that
Yes,
Friday?
he had a green eco bag, and the PNP saw him holding it with a piece of paper that had the list of 3 projects.
So, kailan po nangyari yung hinuli siya? Also that Friday
Yes.
when he met you. So what happened? Somewhere in the midst of the meeting, you called the PNP. Nagtawag po kayo?
Yes, I texted someone to call the PNP
I see.
when I was meeting with Engineer Calalo. And again, I personally feel bad for Engineer Calalo because he's not the most guilty person, whether in the DPWH projects of the 1st District or in the whole DPWH. But it just happens that there's a congressman who doesn't tolerate this kind of thing, but that I propose that he be a state witness.
Yeah.
Because maybe he can help us find out who is behind the substandard DPWH projects in the 1st District and how DPWH procurement in the whole country is rigged at the expense of taxpayers.
So, did he actually really show you the money? Pinakita ho ba niya? Inilatag ho ba niya sa mesa niyo o pinakita lang yung eco bag?
Hindi ko na tinignan yung laman ng eco bag. When
He just said, ito yung tulong. Ganun ba?
not at the start of the meeting,
Yeah.
but
At
at the
some
end of the
point.
meeting, he got the eco bag, and I would also note that, again, that's just what he happened to have, but he also said that there was a contractor that had a large number of projects that was already willing to withdraw 15M.
Right. The next day, yun ang sabi niya, di ba? There's a contractor that's willing to even withdraw 15 million pesos for you tomorrow.
Yes, because this particular contractor has a lot of projects, and I think even that would represent a fraction of the total consideration that Engineer Calalo had implied could be achieved. Because at 3.6 billion of District 1 projects, there would be, let's say, 5% that he said he could raise.
Yeah.
And he said he's already talking to these contractors and that we just needed to schedule the meetings. But of course, I thought that we have to take action now. But the interesting thing about this is that these are contracts that were already awarded. So the public might think, okay, you do it at the time of award. But I think it speaks to the fact that, number one, contractors don't want someone auditing their projects, so they're willing to pay extra to stop an audit. And number two, that there's a lot of fat in DPWH project costs, which is something that I think should also be looked into by Congress.
So, it was an entrapment at some point, no, of that Friday meeting, and he was taken. Ito po
Yes.
si District Engineer Abelardo Calalo.
And I would also add that apart from the fact that we have an ongoing audit on the technical compliance of the projects, the 2026 budget and the list of projects in it have already just been released. And of course, that is the main time that congressmen
This is something you should
work
really look into
with their district engineers.
Yeah, I know that you're a little, you want to really look into this 2026 budget because there's about 850 billion, tama ho ba? Including 250 billion in flood control. Would the numbers be
That's right. I
accurate?
think it's over 880
Okay.
for the total budget and 250 plus for flood control.
Yeah, this needs to be scrutinized, no? In fact, are you even willing to even provide this kind of number after this controversy on flood control projects?
Well, based on what I gather, that most procurement in DPWH is done through biddings that are, let's call it what it is, rigged.
Rigged.
Then I don't think that a private citizen would give their money to a group that has proven to not be trustworthy with its funds.
Okay.
So it is questionable then why we should approve an 880 billion peso budget that goes through the same system.
And what should be done?
Well, of course, there's always improvements by putting in new management into a company. But I think there are also some structural reforms, lowering the costs giving incentives for districts that can have lower costs and compliant contracts, having a more equitable distribution of projects so that contractors cannot have these big white
Lion's
elephants
share,
in certain districts, and having a whistleblower protection program.
Yeah.
Because if every district engineer is secure about calling out corruption in their district, then baka magdadalawang isip ang ibang mga public officials bago mangurakot sa kanilang district office.
Actually, si District Engineer Calalo, you're hoping that he can actually turn state witness, di ba?
Yes, that is my hope.
Yeah, that is your hope because you filed a case against him early this morning on bribery, corruption of public officials, violation of the Anti-Graft and Corrupt Practices Act. Okay, here's what we need to go back a little bit. So, pumunta po siya sa inyong opisina, gusto ka ng mga kontraktor, gusto ka bigyan ng suporta, may dala po siyang eco bag na may 3 million, in-entrap po siya, hinuli po siya ng police. However, there was something you said during today's press conference that this was the practice. Hindi ho ba? The practice of what? Of the previous administration, of the ex-congressman. Would that still be accurate, sir?
Yes.
Okay. So, who is the ex-congressman?
You can find that out on
I
Wikipedia.
already did. It's former Congressman Eric Buhain. Tama? Siya po. Kasi it's an easy fact check. And he's the same person that you ran against in the 2025 elections. Nanalo po kayo, 250,000 something votes versus 75,000 votes of the incumbent Eric Buhain. So, ano hong ibig sabihin ito? Kasi pag sinasabi niyong they're so comfortable, number one, are you saying that how much is the percent, sir, that this DE is saying, district engineer?
Ang sinasabi niya for the 2025 projects, makakakuha tayo ng 5 hanggang 10%.
Okay. So 2025.
Projects that were already awarded. And ang sinasabi ng iba ay para sa mga bagong projects pag tinatawagang horizontal roads, flood control, 15 to 20%. Pag vertical, multipurpose buildings, classrooms, hospitals, baka 10%.
At sinasabi, yun ang passion mo, di ba? Especially education. No?
Kaya gustong-gusto ko po ilaan na lang ang budget ng DPWH sa mga classrooms. Kasi, syempre, hindi ko naman po iniisip yung SOP. Pero kaya siguro, ang DPWH nag-propose for 2026 ng napakaraming mga flood control projects kahit na sabi ni PBBM, ayaw niya ito.
Yeah.
Dahil may something sa mga flood control projects na mas na-incentivize ang iba na mag-prioritize ng flood control.
Did the district engineer say that the previous administration ay tumatanggap?
Yes.
Sinabi po niya yon.
Actually, he said, in almost sweeping terms, lahat ng mga projects ay meron.
Meron. Sinabi po niya si Congressman.
Yes, siya daw ang pumipili ng mga contractors.
Yeah.
Sabi niya,
dalawa yan, sir. Sorry to cut you. First, I need to make sure from you that he said that tumatanggap si dating congressman. Affirmative, sabi niyo po. Sabi ni district engineer, meron. Tapos, yung next po yung sinasabi niyong rigged. Ito pong mga bidding. Ibig sabihin, as you mentioned a while ago, you already said it kanina na pinipili ni congressman ang contractor. Tama ho ba?
yes, what he explained to me was the DPWH's job is to publish the bids. And then, in the case of that particular congressman, may mga contractor na dumadating, maybe they buy the bidding documents, they bid, and somehow there is a certain contractor that wins. And you can see from the list of projects that a few contractors have cornered the lion's share of projects in that district.
Sir, I'll
and don't
name
have
them.
that many outside of the district.
Yeah, okay. Kasi our reporter, Joash, already had a story on this. And I also looked at Sumbong sa Pangulo. Please correct me if I'm wrong because I know you did a site visit and it's good that we talk about that in a bit. Nangunguna dito ang VR patron or patron builders and development?
I think that there's a contractor with a bigger share of projects pero hinihiram lang niya ang lisensya ni VR Patron.
Ah, okay. The second one is Alpha and Omega General Contractor.
That's one of the big contractors
Yeah.
that has been flagged by PBBM.
Yeah, number 2 yan kay Pangulo. Number 3, ito po yung nakita ko, especially dun sa site na binisit nyo. I'll talk about that in a bit. Vicmar Construction Incorporated.
That's also one.
Yeah. So, are you saying that ito pong tatlong,
May isa pa na
May isa ba? Okay.
nangihiram ng
Go ahead, sir.
lisensya.
please identify.
But I would rather protect my personal safety
How's that? Okay.
by not pinning down particular contractors. Because let's be real here. The contractors are interchangeable. If a congressman doesn't choose one contractor, he'll choose another contractor. The big fish really here is the district representative.
That's what I was going to say. Kasi if you're saying it's the congressman that can choose A, or I do not like A, I'll choose B, sino ho ang pumipili? Eh di si congressman, hindi ho ba? So si Big Fish, it's clear. I mean, sabi mo nga, real talk, si Big Fish, si congressman.
Yan ang sinabi.
Ni DE, ni district engineer.
Sabi daw, minsan, sinasabi pa na kay ganun yan. So, I think this is not surprising to your viewers. It's already people's perception of politicians in this country. And again, I laud the administration for bringing more urgency to reforming DPWH procurement.
Yeah.
But I think that the obvious thing for Filipinos is there's a reason why other people spend so much to win elections, even if they have no source of wealth outside of politics.
Okay.
Because there must be some way that they can get a return on their
ROI.
investment from
Mag-ROI
running
po
an
sila
election.
sa kanilang pagiging congressman. I'll throw the question to you then. Paano namin masasabi, or how will your constituents say also na hindi kayo mag-ROI?
Well, unang-una po, kaya po ako nagsasalita ng ganito dahil wala po akong tinatanggap na SOP sa mga government projects. I guess also I'm young, idealistic pa, and I had the good fortune of at a young age having
Diretso na
enough
natin.
from
Mayaman
my
kayo.
business career.
Ah.
So after some months after selling my company's controlling stake to Meralco, I was pondering what to do next. And I can say after a year of doing this that it's a lot more fun being a philanthropist than being a businessman.
So, before we move to that next subject, no, si District Engineer, sinabi ho diretso sa inyo na si dating congressman ay merong kickback.
Meron.
Sinabi lang meron. Hindi po ginagamit yung salitang
May 10 to 20%.
may 10 to 20%. Yun yung kanyang mga salita. May 10 to 20% si dating congressman. Okay.
I think that the district engineers don't know exactly how much a congressman gets on a given transaction kasi dumadirekta sila sa mga contractor. Ang sinabi niya, yung mga contractor, binibigay kay congressman yung
10 to 20%.
yung SOP. So hindi alam ng district engineer.
Yeah.
Meron daw iba na dumadaan sa district engineer. And other congressmen and senators have been making public statements about how that culture should also change.
Right.
But yung mga magaling na congressman sa gawain na ito ay minsan sila nga yung mismong contractor, di ba? So iba-iba po yung mga models. Pero in the particular case of the 1st District of Batangas, one family has been entrenched in this district for a long time, which is why they seem to have had a good handle on how to handle these DPWH projects.
And are you talking about the Ermita Buhain plant?
Yes.
Okay. Because yun naman po yung natalo ninyo. Dahil bago po yun, just for history and being factual about this, ang tinalo nyo po ay si Congressman Eric Buhain. Prior to him, yung asawa po niya ang naging congresswoman, hindi ho ba, for 3 terms. The reason he ran was because natapos na po yung 3 terms ng kanyang asawa and prior to that. Okay, so that's just a brief background on that. Quick question, because I want to move to your site inspection, which is actually quite interesting. What if they say, naku, si Congressman Leviste naman, sinisiraan si Congressman Buhain dahil para wala na silang pag-asa sa susunod na election?
I suppose the facts speak for themselves, but I'm also focused on evidence. And that's why you talk about site inspection. If the program of works of DPWH says that a sheet pile should be 15 meters, and because nasira yung flood control project, we can pull out a sheet pile and see that it's actually 4 meters, then whatever motives one would ascribe for that exercise, one can say that something really went wrong.
You know, sheet piles is something we've been talking about due to this flood control controversy. We'll understand it more because Congressman Leviste went to a site in the 1st District at ang balita ko, nagrent daw kayo ng backhoe at chinek nyo itong sheet pile. We'll show it. Actually, those are the photos. We're going to talk about that after the break. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Still with us, Batangas 1st District Representative Leandro Leviste. Let's look at your site inspection, sir. Ito po yung sa site visit in Binambang Riverbank Protection Project dyan po sa Balayan. So from what I understand, kumuha kayo ng backhoe. Tinanggal nyo yung mga ano?
Opo, kasi maraming mga flood control projects na hindi ma-audit kasi nakabaon yung mga sheet pile. Pero nasira ito ng Typhoon Christine. At kaya pala nasira dahil yung 15 meters dapat ay 4 meters lang pala. And we were able to then have this rare opportunity to measure it. And it begs the question, yung ibang mga sheet piles lahat ay dinadaya din ba?
Yeah. So ulitin natin. Ang lumalabas sa inspection nila, Congressman, chinek nila yung lapad o laki ng sheet pile. Lumalabas 4 to 5 meters lamang. And this is I guess the point here. Ang binayaran, supposed to be 15 meters. Pero yung ginamit, lagay na natin, sir, sa 5.
Yes.
Maximum 5 meters.
And in defense of DPWH, we would want them to be able to give their take on why the discrepancy. But there was a representative on site, but as soon as the sheet piles were being removed, they left.
Umalis.
I think that there's a need for more confrontation of the discrepancies because there's a lot of congressional and Senate hearings. But what is really undeniable is when you look at a program of work that was bid and an acceptance of the engineers and the actual work on site, there's no denying that something goes wrong if there's a discrepancy of what has actually been installed.
Are you going to look at other projects, sir? Kasi I looked at the sumbong sa Pangulo. Dito po sa Binambang River, I'm seeing 1, 2, 3. Tatlo po, no, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, tatlo. By Vicmar Construction, all in the year 2023. And here's the thing. 1 in November, and 2 in December. And it says, construction of riverbank protection along Binambang River, STA 0+000, Santa, hindi ko na po ito maintindihan. Construction of riverbank protection along Binambang River. Ganun din po. Construction of riverbank protection along Binamban. To the tune of, one is about 77 million, the other one is 96 million, the other one is 77 million. More or less, that's about what, 240?
We actually researched the other DPWH lists of projects and found that there's actually 1.1 billion of Binambang River projects.
Wow.
For some reason, not all reflected on the Sumbong sa Pangulo website. And
from the year 2022 to 2025?
Some starting 2020, I think.
Okay.
But completed 2022. I think the website lists completion dates. So, yes, during that same time period, there were actually more projects.
Yeah, it's not here because may completion date nga ng 2022 yung sa Vicmar, no?
Yes, but I think the reason why flood control projects are popular among those who would like source of corruption is because it's harder to audit because if this were not uprooted by Typhoon Christine, we wouldn't have been able to pull it out without destroying the project. But apart from flood control projects, there's also lots of roads that are newly built or some still being completed with lots of potholes. There are also even some multi-purpose buildings like whole covered courts that were ordered where only half covered courts were delivered.
And you're looking into all of that?
I think that one of the actionable things as a district representative is just to focus on the anomalies in my own district. And while there's a lot of good work being done in congressional and Senate hearings, there's so much that can be audited just in my own district that with all of our available technical capacity, I would like to study all of the projects in our district.
So we're not just talking about flood control, we're talking about roads, multi-purpose halls, basketball courts. Can you also include street lights, sir?
Yes, there's supposedly this overpriced cat's eye on the Nasugbu-Tagaytay Highway. And if you just look at
the solar lamps.
Yes. The total DPWH projects in the first district of Batangas over the past decade are almost 30 billion pesos, I believe. And
Decade.
10 years.
Yeah, the
Yes.
last decade.
Around 30 billion pesos.
Okay.
And if we can find deficiencies in the amount of 20% of that, then hopefully we can get the contractors to rectify the missing billions of pesos worth of materials on these 30
Sir, can
billion
you do
pesos of
that?
projects.
Would you be able to do that?
That's what we do in the private sector, so why not do it in government?
I don't know. That might be novel.
Because if somebody is building for their own private business, they're going to want to make sure na hindi sila dinadaya ng kanilang contractor. Pero for some reason, it seems novel
Good
to do
point.
it in government.
Yeah.
So I think that it's actually worth the government investing in people who are just looking for defects in completed DPWH projects, which can be very profitable for the government if they can then make claims on the contractors to rectify the works.
Give you an example. The one you checked in Binambang River. Maaari mo hubang balikan if would you say it's Vicmar? Because this is what I'm seeing in the Sumbong sa Pangulo website.
May iba pang
May iba pa
contractor
kasi
dyan.
hindi nasama dito. Sige,
Opo.
hindi po sila. Okay, kung sino man po yung contractor na yon, are you saying that pwede mo sila balikan at sabihin, gawin nyo ng tama yung sheet pile. This is 5 meters, it's supposed to be 15 meters.
DE Calalo mentioned to me that inaayos na nila, which is basically an admission that there was something wrong in the first place. Although they can always say that there were force majeure reasons why the thing was damaged, but the length of the sheet pile is
No, but the sheet pile, if you paid
indisputable.
15 meters, you should be
Yes.
putting 15 meters and not 5 meters.
Yes.
Tama ho ba?
Yes, and there's another project that was recently damaged by Typhoon Krising, which is the Jokno Highway connecting Calaca and Lemery to Tagaytay.
Okay.
And this had an ongoing project being implemented by the regional office of DPWH, separate from the district office. And it then begs the question, are there also defective projects being implemented by the regional office? But in this particular case, DE Calalo, in my conversation with him, also said that the contractor of that recently damaged project is also fixing it. Whereas initially, we were asking the DPWH, why don't these contractors fix these projects? And they said they need to actually spend for new projects to fix them. But after we looked into them and saw that there were non-compliances in the work that was ordered, then the contractors are covering the cost.
Non-compliance of the project, ibig sabihin hindi po nila tinupad kung ano yung kanilang ipinangako or what is actually stipulated in the contract. That's why kung di po nila ipinangako yan, dapat gawin nila or i-repair nila, ayusin nila. So, Congressman, ninenervyos na ho ba yung mga contractor dyan sa First District ng Batangas dahil po sa inyo?
No comment.
Okay, all right. There's still a lot to talk about. We hope to have you again in the show. I know you've been busy. You were all over because you filed a case against this district engineer. But we hope to see you again. Maraming salamat po sa inyo.
Maraming salamat po.
Thank you. And of course, former Batangas Representative Eric Buhain is welcome to share his side here on the program. That's On Point. Join us again tomorrow, 7:30 p.m. here on BNC, the Billionario News Channel. I'm Pinky Webb. Thank you for watching.